All right, what is up, guys? We're back for TSM versus Team Liquid Game 2. This is the NA LCS Finals. I will be spoiling the result, so if you don't want to know what the result is, go watch the game, then come back and watch this video. We're going to be analyzing the pick and ban phase and trying to figure out which team got the better of the pick ban phase and which team has the advantage going into the actual game. So far we have on TSM side, the bans are Rise, Tom Kench, and Kindred. This is kind of interesting. I mean, the Tom Kench makes sense because Core JJ is a really good Tom Kench player. Kindred makes sense. Rise, I guess, makes sense, but I'm not really sensing a real reason for these bans from TSM. It just seems like they're trying to deny certain picks, comfort picks from Team Liquid. Team Liquid bans out the Lissandra, the Jace, and the Sylas. This also seems like it's a very comfort pick oriented. I guess they're trying to deny like the first pick Jace or Sylas from Broken Blade, and then they're worried about Bjergsen's Lissandra, so they're leaving up the Akali, Irelia. They're leaving up quite a few champions on that side, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, let's get into the actual picks real fast. So TSM immediately goes for the Taric, so it looks like they're trying to set up the Taric-Sona duo. This kind of puts Team Liquid in a bad spot where they either have to pick the Sona or they basically have to just let TSM take it and then go for a potential counter. Team Liquid's responding with the Rek'Sai, and their next pick is going to be the Ashe. So this is not that bad. So Ashe has decent poke, and I know that a lot of people haven't really talked about this that much, but I actually think that one of the best ways to counter the Sona Taric bot lane is the going for a poke lane against them. And you would think that that wouldn't actually be good because in general, sustain lanes are usually better into poke lanes. But the thing is that Taric needs to be in melee range to be able to get a lot of his sustain off, right? He needs to be able to proc his Targon, so that means he has to be able to attack minions. He needs to use his Bravado, which is his passive, in order to be able to get those stacks for his Q in order to be able to heal. If you have a very strong poking lane, both the marksman and the support, then the Taric can't step up to hit those minions without taking significant damage. Additionally, Sona is really dependent upon being able to land those auto combinations so she can proc her spell thieves, so that way she can evolve it sooner, so that way that she can start taking the CS. Because remember, the way that strategy works is up until this point, Taric is trying to take most of the farm until Sona is able to proc her spell thieves enough to get that evolved so she no longer gets punished for taking CS. If you have a bot lane and a support that outrange the Sona, then the Sona can't step up to poke, which means she can't proc her spell thief. The Taric can't step up to get CS, which means that he can't use his Q, and he can't use his Targon stacks, so their sustain is cut significantly. So I know a lot of people have been going more for like catch into the Sona Taric bot lane, but I think that poke is actually the better option. So yeah, we've been trying it out in a lot of our games recently, and it's been working really well. I could potentially do a video on that if you guys want me to in the future. But yeah, if you guys run into the Sona Taric in your games, definitely go more towards a poking lane, like a Varus with a Xerath or a Lux or a Vel'Koz. Ashe actually works pretty well because she's got a pretty long attack range and she's got her volley poke. Israel, Caitlyn, anybody who's got a lot of can outrange the Sona is going to do very well into the Sona Taric bot lane. So we can see that TSM winds up picking up the Hecarim and the Sona. We did expect the Sona to come out. The Hecarim, I think, is actually a great pick because what it does is that it gives them some form of engage. One of the biggest disadvantages of Sona Taric is that they are very lacking in engaged potential. But you have the speed up from the Sona E, which synergizes well with the Hecarim, and then you can put the W, the Tarek W, on Hecarim, so he can just basically dive in, get the stun off, get the ultimate, so he's invulnerable, and the Hecarim can do a ton of damage if he goes Triforce Warrior. So yeah, I actually really like these two pickups from TSM. Team Liquid responds with the Zyra. So what we'll see right here is, I'll bring this over. So you can see that TSM is primarily a protect comp right now, and Team Liquid is primarily a catch comp. And when we put in the Zyra pick, we can see that they remain being a catch comp. So it's basically protect versus catch. Protect has the advantage because Protect is able to actually protect their carries against a catch composition. So right now, TSM has the advantage. What you would want to see is you'd want to see Team Liquid go towards either probably like a sieging composition, or they could potentially go towards a split composition, which would counter the Protect. Right now, TSM doesn't really have to do anything. If they stay Protect, then they're good to go, basically. So let's see what actually winds up happening with the rest of the draft. The first ban is the Zilean. This makes a lot of sense because Zilean would give them another way to have a really strong Protect composition on the TSM side. Also gives them another access to a speed boost, which empowers the Hecarim. LeBlanc on the opposite side. Yeah, I guess that makes sense against Jensen. Not great, I would say. The Akali from Team Liquid makes sense because Bjergsen's Akali is just phenomenal, and an Akali that is invulnerable sounds really terrifying. So right now, the Gangplank comes out. Yeah, that's a good ban because Gangplank can be really good at securing those kills from a poke. Zoe would be a very good pickup here for Team Liquid because that gives them a lot more poking potential, which is what they want. They basically want to force TSM to engage when they're not ready. If they go more towards a poking position, then yeah, it's actually really good for Team Liquid because they can basically set the tempo and put TSM on a timer. And also Jensen's good on Zoe. Yep, they're talking about, yep, there's a Zoe as we would expect. So we can see how that pick is going to change what they do. So we bring in the Zoe here. So yeah, you can see that now their siege is actually pretty good. They're still a catch composition, but let's just like do something crazy just so I can show you like what would happen if they went. They said if they went like a Xerath actually. Let's do something really crazy that would never actually happen in pro play. But if they went like a Xerath, look at what happens to their win rate. It skyrockets because now they're a siege composition into a protect composition. But because they went for the Zyra, they're a catch composition, and catch compositions tend to struggle against protect compositions. So they're having the Echo. I don't think they're going to go for that. So right now, TSM doesn't really need to do anything. They just need to draft more protect, and they win, basically. Potentially the last pick could be somebody who's really good in siege, and that could actually counter at the very end. But I would just say go more towards protect. They go for the Lux and the Irelia. I don't know if this is actually good or not. I don't think this is. The Lux is more sieging and catch oriented. We'll put in the Lux. So you see, yeah, it gives them a lot of siege and catch, which siege is not actually that bad into a catch composition, but the Irelia is going to throw them more towards catch, which is actually going to hurt their win chances. So yeah, you see that it drops them so that they're also a catch composition against another catch composition. So it's basically a coin flip for going for that Irelia pick. So actually, I think that TSM actually misplayed the draft a little bit. They needed to just stay as a protect composition. They didn't really need to force anything. The Lux actually was fine, but if the last pick was instead somebody who was really good at zoning and disengaging, like a Cho'Gath or a Poppy or something like that, then that probably would have been a really phenomenal composition for TSM. The last pick for Team Liquid winds up being the Kennen. That actually does not help them at all. They'll still be a catch composition, but it pushes them more towards being an attack composition. So there's the Kennen right there. So if I plug that in, you'll see that they'll be primarily catch with an attack composition. So yeah, they're catch first, attack second, and TSM is catch first with attack second. So they're pretty much a mirror comp. So they're both sides are mirrored. It's a 50-50. It's a coin flip. So really it comes down to execution. So I definitely think that TSM, the first part of their draft was really freaking good. I think the last pick, the Irelia pick, kind of threw them off. They didn't need to go for that Irelia. But yeah, it winds up being a coin flip, and I think that actually TSM winds up winning this game. But it really just comes down to execution. So you can see it's a pretty even game for most of the game. Yeah, it's almost identical for most of the game. Just a really, really close game, back and forth, which is exactly what you would expect, because per the team compositions, it's all about who executes better, and both of these teams are very evenly matched. So it winds up being that at the very end, they wind up getting a few picks, and yeah, it basically turns into a coin flip game that TSM winds up winning. So anyway, I hope that was useful for everyone. I hope everybody understood how TSM was in the driver's seat, because they were going more towards a protect composition. And then it seems like in the last two picks, they kind of fumbled a little bit, and they went back more towards a catch composition, which actually made things harder on them. I definitely recommend you guys try out a poke lane if you go up against the Sona Taric. Try out some poking champions in bot lane and support. It's really strong. And yeah, if you want me to do a video on that in the future, I will. Also, I want to give a shout out for my Discord. We are trying to get more teams together. So if you're interested in playing, please check out my Discord. Link is in the video description below. We try to do practices multiple times a week. We're actually trying to get to a point where we're doing practices every single day. So if you're looking for a team, I can definitely find one for you. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. This is Randomonium signing off.